benefit system, the welfare benefit system, was so complicated and prone to error that people who were poor didn't know what to apply for. And even when they did apply, they didn't know whether the amounts of money that they got were the correct ones. And I thought to myself, well, that's interesting. Maybe I should write a computer program to calculate welfare benefits for people. And at that time, the university had a kind of internal funding system where you could apply for modest amounts of money to prototype or to start new ideas. So I applied, and what I applied for was what was then called a microcomputer. A microcomputer was just about coming on stream. That was actually a North Star Horizon microcomputer, which had a Z80 chip in it, 2 5.25 floppy disks. I forget how much RAM, but possibly, could it be 64K? Is that feasible? I can't remember. And this was basically the reason why I wanted to do this, because I really wanted a microcomputer. It was in today's money, and I think it was probably worth about £15,000 or so. Not something a lecturer could afford. I mean, at that time, there's lots of inflation since then. It didn't cost 15,000 then. So I proudly got this microcomputer. I wrote a program to do the job, and then we took it down to a porter cabin in Brighton to try it out, to get some real applicants and real claimants to use it. We had to start off, when we were showing people what to do, by teaching them what a computer was, how to type things in, and so on, because that was completely unknown in those days. And it was so extraordinary that the local paper picked it up and put it on in the Brighton Evening Argus, had a feature about the electronic brain, which helped you claim your welfare benefits. And then the Guardian saw this item in the Brighton Evening Argus, and thought this was really interesting, and put it at the bottom of the front page of the Guardian one day. So I was nationally famous. And then the Minister for Social Security, as was, saw it, and a lady called Linda Chalker, and said, "This is really amazing. Would you ask our officials to summon me to Westminster to be interviewed by the minister?" So, it all kind of snowballed, really. Anyway, that was that, except that this was beginning, the British government were beginning to get worried about computers. The Japanese seemed to be building, taking over the world with Fujitsu, which still exists and still in the news, and other Japanese computer firms were doing really well. And so they set up something called the Alvey program, called that the Alvey program because it was chaired by a man called John Alvey. And the Alvey
from
program,
BT, wasn't he?
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
And the government gave the Alvey program a fairly substantial amount of money, and said said that this should be used for to fund 5 kind of grand challenges. I forget what these actually were, other than one of them, which was to use the up-and-coming, expert systems, as they were then called, to help with the administration of Social Security.